There are moments in life when it feels as though the night is too long, the burden too heavy, the prayers too silent. You look around and wonder, God, do you still see me? But I want you to listen closely today, because this may be the sentence that shifts your entire season. God is sending favor to find you. Not just grace, not just strength, favor. And when God sends favor, it doesn't knock softly, it breaks through barriers, crosses distances, and arrives right at the door of the one who almost gave up. Some of you have been walking through a season that tested everything inside you. Your patience, your endurance, your confidence, even your faith. You've watched others rise while you stayed still. You've encouraged others while you felt empty. You've smiled in public while silently fighting battles no one knows about. But hear this, your delay is not your denial. Your waiting has not been wasted. Heaven has been preparing something for you that requires timing, alignment, and maturity. And when it arrives, you won't have to chase it. It will chase you. I once met a man who told me a story about his life that I have never forgotten. He said there was a moment where everything seemed to fall apart. His job was gone, his family was hurting, his dreams were fading, and every day felt like he was walking against the wind. He prayed, he waited, he cried, and he tried to stay strong, but nothing seemed to change. One day, he said, he sat alone in his room and whispered, God, I don't know what to do anymore. It was the most honest prayer he had ever prayed. Weeks passed. Nothing dramatic happened. No bright light, no sudden miracle. And then one morning, the phone rang. It was someone he hadn't spoken to in years, calling with an opportunity he wasn't even seeking. That one unexpected call opened doors he never imagined. And when he told me the story, tears filled his eyes as he said, I didn't chase it, it came for me. That is favor. Favor is when God sends something your way that you couldn't have accomplished on your own. It is when the right person, the right opportunity, the right open door arrives, not because you're qualified by human standards, but because heaven has declared it is time. And I tell you today, there are some things coming toward you that are already carrying your name. They have been orchestrated, prepared, and destined. The enemy cannot block them. People cannot stop them. Your mistakes cannot cancel them. When God sends favor, it overrides everything standing in its way. But hear me, you must prepare for it. Favor is coming, but you must be positioned to receive it. When a breakthrough is on the way, God often begins shifting things inside you before He shifts things around you. Sometimes the blessing is ready, but the person isn't. Sometimes the opportunity is prepared, but the heart is not. That's why this season of waiting has felt heavy. God wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. He was shaping your character, refining your priorities, strengthening your endurance, teaching you to trust Him not because of what He gives, but because of who He is. And now, the preparation is nearly complete. Some of you are about to step into divine connections you weren't looking for. Some of you are about to receive unexpected provision. Some of you are about to see long-standing battles suddenly resolved. Some of you are about to discover why God made you wait longer than others. Because what He's sending you is bigger than what you thought, higher than what you asked, and more powerful than what you imagined. But you must stay faithful. Favor cannot find someone who has left their assignment, abandoned their post, or surrendered their hope. You may feel tired, but don't stop praying. You may feel unseen, but don't stop sowing. You may feel discouraged, but don't stop believing. The enemy's greatest strategy is not to destroy you. It's to make you quit right before the breakthrough arrives. Remember this: God specializes in showing up at the moment when your ability ends. When you've tried everything, when you've knocked on every door, when you've exhausted every option, when your strength is gone, That is where God begins. He doesn't need your ability, He needs your availability. He doesn't ask you to understand the plan, He asks you to trust the planner. And when you do, you make room for favor to locate you. Think of the shepherd boy tending sheep in obscurity. Nobody saw him. Nobody noticed him. Nobody was cheering for him. Yet, while he was unseen by people, he was being prepared by God. And on an ordinary day, while doing ordinary work, favor came looking for him. The prophet didn't ask for his name. He asked, "Is there not another?" Because the favor that God sends cannot rest on the wrong person. It can only land where it has been sent. And I tell you today, your name is being spoken in rooms you've never entered. Opportunities are forming in places your feet have not yet walked. People are being prepared to help you, support you, and bless you. Heaven has begun a movement that you cannot see, but will soon experience. Even now, I believe something is shifting. There is a stirring in your spirit because deep down you know something is coming. You may not be able to describe it, but you can feel it, a quiet assurance, a gentle pull, a holy whisper that says, "Hold on, it's closer than you think." You were not created to live defeated. You were not designed to be overlooked forever. You are not walking through this season for nothing. God has been working behind the scenes, arranging, aligning, restoring, and preparing. Favor is not just coming, it has been dispatched. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, wipe your tears, gather your faith, because when this breakthrough arrives, it will not be small, it will not be subtle, and it will not be partial. It will be pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will be undeniable that God did it. And you will say, "I didn't chase it, it came for me." Get ready. Prepare your spirit. Prepare your mind. Prepare your steps. Favor is on the way. Blessings are moving toward you. Breakthrough is approaching your life with divine acceleration. The season you thought would break you is about to become the season that makes you. God is sending favor to find you, and it won't miss. Favor is already on its way and will reach you at the right God-appointed time. And when we talk about favor, we are not speaking of something random, something uncertain, or something that depends on people's decisions. Favor is a divine movement that starts in the heart of God long before you ever see it in your life. It is already released, already directed, already carrying your name. Many times, we look at our circumstances and assume that nothing is happening, that nothing is shifting, that nothing is improving. But what you cannot see is often more powerful than what you can. God works in silence, in secrecy, in the quiet places where your eyes cannot reach. Favor does not begin the moment you recognize it. Favor begins the moment God speaks it. Think about how many times in Scripture God's blessing was already on the way long before the person understood what was coming. Joseph didn't know that the path through the pit and the prison was part of favor's journey toward the palace. David had no idea that while he was tending sheep in the fields, favor was already walking toward him through a prophet carrying oil. Esther didn't know that favor was building a path for her before she ever entered the palace. In every one of those stories, God was working behind the curtain, arranging steps, aligning timing, and ensuring that when the appointed moment arrived, nothing and no one could hinder what He had already decided. That same movement is happening for you right now. While you're doing your best with what you have, while you're holding on through uncertainty, while you're praying for God to guide you, favor is already traveling toward you. You may feel forgotten, overlooked, or delayed, but God's timing is never off. He doesn't rush, and He doesn't arrive late. When He sets a moment for breakthrough, it will unfold exactly as He planned. Not 1 second sooner, and not 1 second later. And the beautiful truth is that no amount of human resistance can interfere with something that God Himself has scheduled. There may be people who tried to shut doors on you, systems that made things difficult for you, environments that didn't appreciate you, or seasons where progress seemed impossible. But God does not need their approval to bless you. Favor has never depended on human permission. It comes from a higher place, carried by a higher authority. When God decides that it is time for favor to locate you, it will pass through every barrier, bypass every obstacle, and move through every delay until it reaches the exact place where you stand. You may not feel worthy. You may have made mistakes. You may think you've missed your moment. But favor isn't based on perfection. Favor is based on purpose. And if God has assigned favor to your life in this season, it will find you even if you don't feel ready. God knows exactly where you are, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. He knows the weight you've been carrying, the prayers you've whispered in the dark, the fears you've never voiced, and the hopes you've buried under disappointment. He knows every detail, and yet he still says, I'm sending favor. There is a divine alignment happening around you, even when everything feels ordinary. Heaven is organizing what earth cannot see. Doors are forming. Opportunities are shifting into position. People you haven't met are being prepared. Solutions you haven't imagined are being arranged. Favor is moving toward you with accuracy, intention, and certainty, because what God sends never gets lost. It always arrives at the right place, in the right moment, for the right purpose. Your waiting season was preparation, not punishment. So many times, when we walk through long seasons of silence, uncertainty, or delay, our hearts begin to assume something is wrong. We think God is displeased with us, or that we've somehow missed His voice, or that we are being pushed aside while others move forward. But waiting is not a sign of abandonment. And waiting is one of the greatest tools God uses to shape a life that can carry His purpose. When God makes you wait, it's because what He's building inside you is just as important as what He's preparing to bring to you. Waiting exposes what you truly believe. It shows whether your trust is rooted in outcomes or in God Himself. In the waiting, you learn to let go of your timelines, your assumptions, and your expectations. You learn to surrender control. You learn to say, God, even when I don't see movement, I choose to believe you are working. This kind of faith is not born on the mountaintop. It's born in the quiet, in the slow, in the seasons where answers don't come quickly and breakthroughs seem delayed. Waiting deepens your faith beyond feelings. It matures you, stabilizes you, and strengthens you in ways that immediate blessings never could. There are things God wants to give you that require you to be prepared internally. A blessing in the wrong season can feel like a burden. A door opened too early can become a distraction. A position you're not matured enough to handle can crush you. So God, in His love, holds certain things back until your character, your wisdom, and your foundation are ready to sustain them. Waiting isn't God saying no. It's God saying, I'm getting you ready. And sometimes preparation looks like pruning, cutting away old habits, healing old wounds, removing wrong relationships, dismantling wrong mindsets, and shaping you into someone who can walk confidently when the blessing finally arrives. Think about people in Scripture who were called and chosen, yet still endured long seasons of waiting. Joseph had a dream, but then he found himself in a pit and a prison. Not because God rejected him, but because God was preparing him. Moses knew he had a purpose, but he spent 40 years in the wilderness being shaped for leadership. Not because God forgot him, but because God was forming him. Even David, anointed to be king, went back to tending sheep and running from enemies before he ever touched the throne. These weren't punishments, they were necessary seasons of development. Before God places you where He wants you, He shapes you into who you need to be. Your own waiting season has been doing the same. Every moment you felt unseen, God was teaching you humility. Every moment you felt delayed, God was building your endurance. Every time things didn't go your way, God was strengthening your trust. Every disappointment was redirecting you towards something better. Every closed door was protection. Every long stretch of silence was God sharpening your discernment. And every tear you cried was watering the soil for the harvest He has prepared. While you've been waiting, God has been working. He has been aligning circumstances, preparing opportunities, maturing your spirit, and strengthening your heart. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the pace required at each step. And when the time is right, everything you walk through will suddenly make sense, because you will realize the waiting didn't break you, it built you. Breakthrough comes when you stay faithful, even when nothing seems to change. Faithfulness in stillness is one of the greatest tests of the human heart. It is easy to believe when the doors are opening, when the blessings are flowing, when life feels aligned and progress is visible. But the real measure of faith is found in the seasons where heaven feels silent and your efforts seem unnoticed. These are the moments that separate temporary emotion from true commitment. When you continue to pray even when you feel nothing, when you continue to trust even when you see nothing, when you continue to stand even when everything around you encourages you to fall, you are building the spiritual endurance that breakthrough requires. So many people quit right before the shift happens. They walk away from the place God planted them because the soil looks dry. They abandon their calling because the results aren't immediate. They stop praying because the answer hasn't arrived. But what they don't realize is that breakthrough rarely looks like progress until the final moment. A seed buried underground looks lifeless before it breaks through the soil. A sunrise looks like darkness until the very second the light appears. In the same way, the movement of God can feel hidden until the moment He reveals what He has been preparing. God watches how you handle the seasons when you feel tired, overlooked, or discouraged. Not because He wants to see you struggle, but because He wants to strengthen what is inside you. Faithfulness develops integrity, patience, and resilience. Faithfulness teaches you that your obedience is not based on circumstances, but on trust. Faithfulness aligns your heart with God's heart so that when the breakthrough comes, you carry the maturity and humility to handle it. God doesn't bless faithfulness because He needs it. He blesses it because it shapes you into someone who can walk in His promise without being destroyed by it. Think of the moments when you wanted to give up but didn't. The days you felt empty but pressed forward anyway. The nights you cried but still kept believing. Those moments were not wasted. They were building a foundation inside you that the enemy cannot shake. Every time you refused to quit, you took one step closer to your breakthrough. Every time you chose faith over frustration, you strengthened your spirit. Every time you kept going when you didn't feel like it, heaven took notice. Sometimes breakthrough comes suddenly and dramatically. Other times it comes quietly, unfolding slowly until suddenly you realize everything has changed. But in both cases, it always follows faithfulness. God honors the ones who stay, the ones who trust Him through the dry season, the ones who worship even when the prison walls haven't fallen yet, the ones who sow even when the harvest seems far away. Faithfulness attracts divine timing. Faithfulness invites supernatural intervention. Faithfulness positions you for the moment when God says, now. You may not realize it, but your consistency has been activating things in the unseen realm. Your prayers have been opening doors you can't yet see. Your obedience has been preparing paths you haven't walked yet. Your persistence has been weakening the very barriers that once surrounded you. Breakthrough is not random. It is the result of refusing to let circumstances dictate your commitment. It is the harvest of every quiet decision you made to trust God when trusting felt difficult. And when the breakthrough arrives, it will come not as a surprise to God, but as the reward of your unwavering faithfulness in the quiet places of your life, where the world cannot hear your thoughts and no one sees your struggle. God has been moving with purpose. Every prayer you whispered in exhaustion, every moment you pushed through the heaviness, every time you held on to hope when hope felt fragile, none of it has been forgotten. You have been walking through a season that tested you, refined you, stretched you, and matured you. But it has not been without meaning. What you have endured has been shaping the person you are becoming, preparing you for the very breakthrough your heart has been longing for. There is something powerful that happens when a person chooses to trust God despite delay. Heaven leans in when someone says, "I don't see the answer yet, but I will keep believing." That kind of faith rises like a fragrance before God. That kind of faith is not the result of easy days. It is forged in waiting, silence, and struggle. And I want you to understand today that not 1 second of that struggle has been wasted. God has been using it to align your character with your calling, your heart with His timing, and your spirit with His purpose. You may feel like you've been walking in circles, praying the same prayers, fighting the same battles, facing the same mountains. But if you could see what God has been doing behind the scenes, you would know that every step has taken you closer to the moment. He has prepared. Breakthrough is not a single event. It is a process. And you have been in that process for far longer than you realize. Even when you saw nothing changing, the foundation of your breakthrough was being built beneath the surface. Now, you stand on the edge of a shift. You may not feel it fully yet, but your spirit knows something is stirring. There is a quiet anticipation inside you because deep down, you sense that the season of waiting has been leading somewhere. God is not a God of half-finished stories. He completes what He begins. And He did not bring you this far to leave you in the middle of the journey. What He has started in your life, He is faithful to finish in His perfect timing. As favor moves toward you, as alignment begins to unfold, as doors prepare to open, your only task now is to stay expectant. Not fearful, not doubtful. Expectant. The same God who carried you through the valley is the God who will lift you onto the mountaintop. The same God who saw your tears will soon fill your mouth with testimony. The same God who strengthened you in the dark is the God who will reveal His glory in your life in the light. You are stepping into a season where the things you prayed for, cried for, and hoped for begin to take shape. The weight you felt is lifting, the delay is ending, and the story you thought was stuck is about to move. Favor is coming. Breakthrough is coming. And everything that you walked through has prepared you to receive it with strength, gratitude, and faith.